Governing the Ungovernable by Ishrat Hussain. Pakistan, since its independence in 1947, had to face difficult years for the first 4 decades. Despite the many challenges, both internal and external, the country was able to register at 6% average annual growth rate during the first 40 years of its existence. The country was ahead of India and Bangladesh in all economic and social indicators. Since 1990, the country has fallen behind its neighboring countries and has had a decline in the growth rate. This book tried to examine the reason behind this slowdown. The government system Pakistan inherited from British rule is not only outdated but has deteriorated over time. Pakistan failed to transform from a conventional bureaucracy to a creative one. The author suggested a comprehensive reform agenda for institutions ranging from the civil bureaucracy to the private sector. Higher the economic growth rate depend on the better governance. The better governance in the military regime is not due to the foreign assistance but due to the better governance. Poor performance of the education and health sector is not due to the lower allocation of budget but because of poor governance. The combined budget of the health and education sector as a ratio of the gross domestic product is now higher than the military to GDP ratio. It is a myth that Pakistan is a military state. We have developed a unique tendency to disbelieve and discount any good news about our country or people and to exaggerate the negative beyond all proportion. Facts have become difficult to distinguish from fiction. Even the educated class has opted for comfort of ignorance. The youth lack confidence in their abilities, resulting in inaction and unwillingness to participate to our country. Instead, they are looking for Masiha who can solve Pakistan's problem. Pakistan needs a strong local government to help citizens and business communicate their grievances to the government and hold the government accountable. District government should get funds depending on need. Right man for the right job is the key to success that needs to be adopted by government across the board if things ought to go in better direction. Book compare two periods from 1947 to 1990 and second from 1990 to 2015. In the comparison, the author compare society as a whole, the legislature, judiciary, civil service, military, and the private sector. The book has got some recommendation for institutional restructuring and lessons learned from the other countries including India and Bangladesh. Despite two wars between 1947 to 1990, GDP was still growing at a good pace. State institutions were doing well and the private sector was contributing, while the second era saw a very small economic situation. GDP growth was dismal. State institutions deteriorated and lack of ease of business led to a loss of investors' confidence. The main reason of the decline due to the second period was the lack of continuity of policies by upcoming governments. Ishrat Hussain describing the country as perceived to be ungovernable. This country is always in recurring crisis. Can it become governable once more? This book gives hope for the future. Going forward, Pakistan economy has to face a myriad of complex challenge arising from an uncertain global environment, an explosive knowledge economy, disruptive technologies, demographic transition, and climate change. The book emphasizes that the country should reverse the process of institutional decay that is identified as critical for development. Why did country perform till 1990 and then later it fall behind. It was Zulfikar Ali Bhutto's bureaucratic reform which set the country's governance on the road to ruin due to the weakening of civil institutions and politicization of government services. One of the repeated arguments is that Washington has always supported military dictators with aid in 1960s, 80s and 2000, which has translated into high economic growth during the tenure of military dictatorship. The author shows that even civilian governments have been recipients of huge external inflow from friendly Gulf countries or international financial organizations, whether it was Bhutto's government or Nawaz Sharif government or even Zardari's government, which was recipient of generous US aid under Kerry-Lugar bill. The author argues that it is the quality of governance, not external funding, which is the key determinant of better economic performance. It is not only the quality of leadership at the top, it is the better maintenance of the rule of law and political stability that affect economic growth. The author argues that military governments seem to have outperformed civilian government in economic performance and governance, but as the transition happened, immediately the new government rolled back all the processes in place by the military government. Military government initiated reforms, no matter how well intentioned and technically robust, suffer from lack of legitimacy. Frequent episodes of martial law have resulted to political instability which negatively impact economic growth in the long run. After the 18th Amendment, provinces have become more powerful due to the transfer of many subjects from federation to provinces, which unfortunately suffer from lack of capacity and expertise. Moreover, true decentralization will only take place when provinces devolve power with financial and administrative power to the local government.